There are certain things that surprised us about Canada that they tell you these things, but you are still unprepared when you land. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 10 of those things that surprised us. Some of them shocked us as people who were moving from the UK. And so you need to keep watching if you're interested in finding out. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. So we moved away from the UK to Canada. And if you saw my previous video about why we did that, then you will understand that as people who were coming from the UK, there were certain things about Canada that were a bit unexpected. So number one of those things is just how friendly Canadians are. Generally, you can tell that they will be friendly considering the fact that they have people from different parts of the world migrating to their country. But I still think we were unprepared. Like you would be going for a walk on, on the road, in the park, different parts of the city, and people who don't know you will pass you and actually say hello to you. And I think the first time it happened, we were like, what's going on here? And then the more we stayed, we found out that it was a thing. Canadians just say hello, they would smile. And it's not the fake smile that you get in England. It's not the quick smile, but there's no emotion behind it. Like with Canadians, you can actually see the warmth. And if you give them the opportunity, they will get into a conversation with you. They want to know where you're from. They want to know more about you. And I just genuinely found them to be very receptive, very warm people. So that really surprised me, especially after so many years in the UK where people don't know your name, don't want to talk to you. Like if you spoke to someone on the underground, you are the strange one. So obviously this is a welcome difference in the way people receive you. The second thing is when we first landed, we used to see like wildlife in the middle of the road. You just see the random deer walking across the road, or a flock of geese. I think it's called a flock of geese. A flock of geese passing, or different kinds of animals like rabbits and squirrels everywhere, and nobody was hunting them. You know what I mean? Like no one was hunting them. And instead, like if they were crossing the road, Canadians will actually patiently stop their cars and wait for them to pass. The first time I saw that thing, it blew my mind. Like, what in the name of thing is this, right? It was so surprising. But as we continue to stay here, it has become normal that if mama duck and baby ducks are passing, we stop and wait. If a coyote or any animal is in trouble, people are actually like sincerely concerned, like, oh my God, they're in trouble. And honestly, I haven't gotten over it, but it's such a beautiful thing to witness. And we definitely didn't have that in the UK. So this is such, it was surprising. It's still surprising sometimes. The third thing is just how outdoorsy Canadians are. So coming from the UK, especially because I lived in London, it was very urban. We're doing the commute. Everybody's always in a hurry. But then when we came to Canada, we found out that Canadians actually have time for their leisure activities. They have time for family. And then they have time for hiking, camping, skiing, hockey. And it was just interesting. Now, I haven't been camping, and I've told people like there's nothing taking me into the woods to set up camp. But it's quite interesting to see that they continue to embrace nature, continue to embrace the outdoors. I have said I will go glamping if the conditions were right. It was summer and I was going to a really picturesque place. I'm not for suffering, right? But it's so interesting to see how outdoorsy they are. They love nature. They're always hiking and doing all sorts of things. So that was very surprising to see. The next one is the cold. Yo, my goodness. Like, they tell you Canada is cold. You've probably heard it. Everyone talks about how cold Canada is. But I promise you, nothing prepares you for just how cold it is. I think the first winter, So we landed in the summer, and then the first winter we had here, it got to as cold as minus 25, minus 30. And I promise you, it is the freakiest, like most surprising thing you would ever experience. Just being out in minus 30 degrees centigrade will make you feel like weeping, and it will just make you question all your life decisions. Like, why am I here right now? And I remember the first time I decided to go shopping during the winter. So obviously we had winter in the UK, right? But Canadian winter is different. It is cold, cold. So we decided to go shopping, and I didn't take my gloves. I put on a coat, I put on a hat or something, but my hands were bare. And then just pushing the trolley, the shopping cart out of the supermarket, I could literally feel my fingers freezing. It was so painful. And they usually warn you that you need to be properly dressed if you're going outside, but that cold is different. Like, you need to prepare yourself for it. It's shocking. The next thing is, see how I said the trolley and the shopping cart? It's just how Canadians use different words than we use in England or in Europe. And sometimes it can be jarring. So, for example, if I said to someone, oh, are you using the trolley? They'll probably give me like a look. It will take like a moment for them to like understand what I'm referring to. So instead, they would say something like the shopping cart. We don't use that language in Europe, right? And so moving here, I feel like I'm constantly translating in my brain before I say it out. I'm constantly like, wait, what is it called? Is it called the boot or the trunk? Is it the sidewalk or is it the pavement? And so it's that funny mix of they use both British words and American words, and sometimes you're not really sure which one it is. One tip I'm going to share that has been helping me navigate the language barrier, because I promise you it's a language barrier, is the fact that we have young children who go to school. And so sometimes I would ask them, what is this? And they think mommy is asking because she doesn't know, but I'm asking because I want to know what it is called. So for example, it's nearly Christmas and they would say things like Santa. Whereas in Europe, we didn't really say, Santa, we said Father Christmas. So it's just those slight differences. It is fun, but it's surprising sometimes. So that's one thing. The next one, the next one is how when you go to the store and you see a price on an item and you think, okay, I'm buying this item for $20. You get to the till, it's not actually $20 because they haven't added the tax. The first time it happened to me, I was like, what? But then I'm like, this is actually pretty interesting. You have to be really good at math because what you see is not what you always get. But in England, whatever price is there is already inclusive of your VAT, right? Your tax at the end of the purchase. And so when you come to Canada, if that is what you're expecting, you're going to be actually surprised. So they do the adding of the tax after the transaction, not before the transaction. That's something that caught me by surprise. I'm now used to it. I tend to do the calculation before I get to the till to make sure that your girl is not washing plates or, whatever, because it can be quite embarrassing, to go in expecting to spend $5 and come out like, yeah, long story. All right. The next thing that is so surprising is the tipping culture in Canada. Okay, let me just you guys. Like, obviously in England, we didn't tip compulsorily. If you felt genuinely impressed by someone's service, then you tip. In Canada, it's almost like every transaction they expect you to tip. What even drives me crazy sometimes is how minuscule the service is. And so when we first arrived, it was always so jarring, so surprising when you'd go into Subway to buy a sandwich and you're about to pay and the machine is asking you for tip. ma'am, what exactly did you do? I came into your store to buy a sandwich that you sell. Was I meant to make the sandwich by myself? Obviously not. So that's one of the very surprising things. It's something that now I go based on, do I really appreciate what the person has done? Did they serve me properly? And based on that, I would add a tip or not. The next one is the fact that the next point is the fact that you have to file your taxes yourself in Canada. We didn't have that in the UK. In the UK, if you were working, they took your taxes from your pay straight away. I think they do a little bit of that here, but at the beginning of each year, around February to April, each person, regardless of whether you made income or not, you file your taxes. And then sometimes you'll get some tax money back if you have overpaid, or they will come back and say you are actually owing the government. Now, I find that very surprising, because I feel like it's a possible way for people to get in trouble. Imagine if the money has been coming in and nobody informed you, and you're just spending, living your best life. And then come April, you file your taxes and the taxman is by the way, ma'am, you owe us 20K. You're like, but I didn't know, I didn't expect it. And so that's why you always hear Canadians talking about taxes, because we didn't have that, in the UK. Everybody, you were never afraid of tax season, but here tax season is a big deal. They're always talking about tax season. I'm going to end on this one, which I think is a bonus because it's not part of the 10. And that's just how expensive travel is in Canada. Coming from the UK, where you could practically get a flight to, Italy for £80. It's not the same in Canada. Even within Canada itself, flying from Alberta to Ontario could cost you $400. And that's not even you taking a posh flight. That's what they call low budget flights sometimes. It is freaking expensive. It's so surprising. And I feel like sometimes it's even cheaper to travel outside Canada than within Canada. And we didn't have that in the UK. You could just hop on a train and go anywhere you're going, and maximum you spend £100. In Canada, first of all, we don't have those kind of trains that are so easy for you to just hop on a train and say you're going to a different province, because it is quite a large country. So instead we fly, and that's expensive. So if you're coming to Canada, you need to be prepared. If someone says, oh, I live in Ontario and you're going to be visiting your friend in Saskatchewan, a different province, please be prepared for the prices of the tickets. So those are the things that shocked me or surprised me when we first moved to Canada. There are a lot more, I think, as we have, continued to live here. It is a beautiful place to be. There are some adjustments that we have needed to make, but those are the ones that surprised me. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you would like to see more content on living in Canada and just Canada in general, be sure to leave a comment down below and ask any questions that you have. And I think it's a fair point in this video to say, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so by hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell. I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao.